Outclassed, outmanned, and out of time for the Orlando Magic. They take another loss, this time to the Portland Trail Blazers, and it did not look good. Today we're going to get into that loss last night against the Portland Trail Blazers, what was said by the Orlando Magic players, by Jamahl Mosley, and where they can go moving forward. We're also going to get into a little bit of the injury report, looking ahead, the polls about the reflection of this month, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the All-Star break. But first, a message from me to you guys. Guys, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Coming out with Orlando Magic content almost daily here on Magic Digest, and subscribing is the best and easiest way to support the channel. Also, make sure to like the videos. That certainly helps as well. I am now back in Orlando, back from the Senior Bowl. It was a great experience, but always great to be talking Orlando Magic basketball. So we're going to kick it off and look at the box score. Exactly what went wrong? Well, it was the kind of the usual suspects. Poor shooting performance from the team as a whole, 19%. And now it looks like the defense is slumping just a little bit. And that is something that is a concern. Jamahl Mosley did comment on that after the game. He said, "We just have to be the aggressor and not be the one that's reacting to everything happening on the court. Teams have been comfortable in these moments, and our ability to make them uncomfortable from the start of the game to the finish is what we have to look at and be better at." Obviously, this team built off of the defense, and when we have poor shooting performances like last night, it's okay, right? Because the defense should be there, should be the security blanket and a place of comfort for this team, but neither side are working right now. Last night, I did see a lot of people talking about the effort and everything like that. Sometimes it's easy to just chalk up bad defense, poor defense to effort. A lot of it is effort, but there's certainly more to it, and you certainly have to give props to the other team, like the Portland Trail Blazers that you play. I mean, it's not, you can't always just blame every single thing on the way that you end up having effort in any sort of game, because I think this team plays hard. They've certainly been through a lot, but hey, some of that luck, some of that hard-nosed play every single night is going to wear off as the season goes on, and if you don't get fully healthy. Obviously, the team is still without Jalen Suggs, but let's take a look at also what I thought was pretty interesting, what Cole Anthony ended up saying in the post-game presser. I thought that this was just something that was kind of right on the nose with what was going on, but I think it was interesting to see him say it. There was doubt. It turned into them punking us. That's what it felt like. Cole Anthony on Orlando beginning to second-guess themselves versus Portland. You got to have that confidence, that level of play, and I think that this team has it. They've shown that they can come back on a lot of different teams, but when they don't start out well, that's going to be tough to overcome, especially for this team since they don't have a ton of offensive firepower. And as far as Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner kind of easing the way back into playing, that could be a lot on their shoulders too. But overall, going to have to regroup. This month has not been great for the Orlando Magic. They're falling down the Eastern Conference standings. That is in the ticker down below. And as we can see, we're getting jumped by teams like Miami, and that is not great whatsoever for this team. 24-25, right ahead of Detroit. You're gonna need some wins building up here at the very beginning of February if they want to make some, gain some ground and make up some of what they lost at the beginning of the year. If we take a look at the Eastern Conference standings as a whole, the fourth seed isn't completely out of reach. The Magic are only 4 games behind Milwaukee, and the Indiana Pacers are at the 5th seed at 26-20. The Orlando Magic are only 3.5 games behind that. So it's not the end of the world. Not time to hit the panic button just yet, but there are certainly issues with this team that need to be addressed. All right, but before we get into a full look ahead, let's talk a little bit about the All-Star game. Nobody from the Orlando Magic got selected for the All-Star game. Paolo Banchero was a bit of a wishful thinking that he was going to be an all-star. I certainly didn't think so. Jalen Suggs, if he was healthy, maybe he would have had a shot, but there's a lot of players that didn't even make it. So, can't even really, I wouldn't classify either of those guys and Franz Wagner a snub, because certainly there are certain guys that were very deserving that didn't end up making it. Will probably be alternates, but they didn't end up making it, such as Trae Young or even, like LaMelo Ball or whoever else you might want to say should have made it. But I don't think that the Orlando Magic had a ton of guys that should have qualified, especially just with the games played thing, because Franz Wagner only played 28 games. But I thought it was interesting with a team like this that we could hear at the very end of the year when this team's making buzz that they didn't have any all-stars. Well, it was for a reason, and it was because of the games played. All right, let's take a look at what is going to potentially happen to this team going forward. I did mention that they're going to have to build some wins against opponents in the very beginning part of February, because now we are done with the month of January. Today's January 31st. They played their last game in the month last night. They played the Jazz, Warriors, Kings, Nuggets, Spurs. So they have a West Coast little trip here coming up, and that is going to be something that is really huge, especially starting off with a win against the 10-36 Utah Jazz. We're going to really need that from them. And right now, Jalen Suggs is a game time decision. He was ruled out against Portland for the same stuff that he's been dealing with his quad injury, and it'd be really nice to get him back more consistently, because he obviously played against Detroit the other night, but didn't look too great. He only played 16 minutes, scored 8 points. So we need him back, and right now this team with Pataze back should be able to gain some ground, and we'll see exactly how that road trip goes for them. It should hopefully be something that they end up getting some wins there, because some of those teams are certainly in a bit of a flux. Now, I did also want to mention, thank you so much for a correction. Wendell Carter Jr. cannot be traded till the offseason. I actually thought that he was able to be traded based off of when he signed his contract in the offseason, but I was wrong. So thank you for the correction in the comments. And I did want to say that I do appreciate everybody supporting the channel. We're trying to grow. We're trying to, build a true Orlando Magic basketball community here on YouTube. And at certain times, it does feel like the channel's growing a little slower. And so I did want to mention that, I do appreciate the support of everybody commenting and, watching these videos. I'm trying to, balance a lot of different things here, and making Orlando Magic basketball content is something I'm very prideful in, and I want to continue on the pace and on the journey to potentially 1,000 and beyond for this channel, to really solidify us as, being a good group, a good family here on YouTube. But just wanted to say that I read your guys' comments. I do read it. Sometimes I don't always respond, but I want to say I hear you guys, I see you guys, and that's what this poll is all about at the very end of each month, where I ask the 3 questions about the MVP of the month, what would you grade the team's play for the month, and game of the month. And I just want to have an active community here, and I just want to say I appreciate everybody, despite, any sort of growth or lack of growth. I do appreciate every single person who supports this channel. It means the absolute world to me. And I'm not perfect, especially with the uploading schedule, and getting certain details just completely wrong in my head. I can't believe I missed the Wendell Carter Jr. thing, but it's always fun to just talk about, and it's a great time nonetheless. But I do appreciate everybody if you've stuck around to the end of this video, for watching. But I will see you guys next time with some more Orlando Magic basketball content.